Hello, hello. Happy Monday. I thought that today would be a great day to come on and talk a little bit about reading nutrition labels. And I know for many of you, this may not be your first time learning about nutrition labels, but I always think it's good to just re-go over it and you may learn something new. In fact, recently they have changed the nutrition labels. They used to not include vitamin D on it, and now they include vitamin D. So I will run you through a nutrition label. So when you're going through a grocery store, if you're continuously picking like the same foods, there's not necessarily a reason to always look at the nutrition label, unless something is, if you feel like something is awry in your diet, maybe you want to start looking at it a little bit closer. But I find when you're choosing a new food, it's really helpful to look at the nutrition label to make an educated decision. Now, one thing being said, you don't want to look at the nutrition label of a fruit and then compare it to or like a fruit snack and then compare it to the label of, let's say, chips. Like those are just like completely two different things. So if you're looking for like a whole grain chip, you want to make sure that you're comparing chips to chips, for lack of a better word, apples to apples, pears to pears, to make sure that you're getting an accurate description of, or an accurate view of what's in accurate comparison, essentially. So what I wanted to do today was actually compare, look at the label of wheat thins and run you through that and let you see, roughly how to read the nutrition label. So I'm going to turn it around. Okay. So here is our lovely nutrition label. So when you're first reading out a nutrition label, you want to make sure to start up here at the serving size. So this is the most important part of reading the nutrition label, because once you determine what the nutrition size is, you'll be able to figure out what all the rest of these numbers mean. So according to this is saying the serving size is 16 pieces or 31 grams. So there's two different ways you can do that. You can either measure out 16 pieces. The most accurate way is by using the grams. So that's basically the weight of the cracker. So what I did is I have my little fancy scale here. So I'm going to put this on, and this was found at Costco in case you were curious, because I always get asked where my scales are from. And then so right now the ounce is on, it's on pounds. So I want to change it to grams. So all right, now it's on grams. I tear it out so that that's not measuring the amount of the bowl. So it says that it's 16 pieces. So let's see how accurate that is. So, and it also said 31 grams was the serving size. So there's 20 grams. There's 28, so just a few more. Oh, now it's a little less. I got one more. All right, so I think that's probably going to be as accurate as we're going to get it, because it's either 30 or 31. So just out of curiosity, let's see how many pieces that actually is and see if they were correct and how many pieces. So what did it say? It said 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then that is 16. So yeah, it's a half of one. So that's probably why we were in the middle there. So 16 pieces of this is going to be accurate. So now that we know exactly what that is, let's now look at this. So it's now saying in those 16 pieces, if you were to eat all of those, then you're having 140 calories on that. So how many calories is 140? So, and then as far as like the fat, it's roughly about 5 grams of fat. And they used to use trans fat a lot in more of the bread items or in cracker items. A lot of times because of the negative health effects of it, a lot of times they have taken that out. So the saturated fat on this and the trans is 0. Sodium is 200. Now the carbohydrate is 22 grams. Now what's important here is that you also want to look to see how many grams of fiber is in it. So in this particular serving size, it's 3 grams. I ideally like to see around at least 3 grams of fiber, if preferably even closer to 5 grams of fiber when you're choosing a food product that is more of the carbohydrate base. That just is going to help ensure that you're getting in all your fiber for the day, and that there is, more nutrient dense options nutrient dense items into that food. Now, this is also saying includes 4 grams of added sugar. So this means that there is sugar that is added to the to the product. So, and we can verify that by when we look down, it's saying right here, it says sugar, it says the whole grain wheat flour, canola oil, and then sugar. So we can verify that there is sugar. Now you will maybe see like corn syrup, or you could even see, I don't know, they have all sorts of different names for sugar nowadays. But you want to make sure that you want to look at the added sugars to see if there's actually sugar added. Something where this can get a little bit confusing is if you're looking at a yogurt, if like a plain yogurt, let's say, yogurt is going to have some sugar in it because that's the sugar from the lactose, but there may not necessarily be any added sugar to it. So that's why it's something to look at. So before, it used to only include the regular sugars. Now we're able to see on the new labels that it has the added sugar, which is 4 grams. And then this is saying that it's 2 grams of protein. And then as far as this just gives you an idea of like what the nutrients, more of the micronutrients. So they used to have like vitamin C on here. They took that one away. Instead, they've added the vitamin D, and then also potassium is new as well. So ideally, you want to try to get a good amount of potassium in your diet. This isn't providing any new vitamin D. Calcium is really small. This is based on a 2,000 calorie diet. So all these percentages over here are for a 2,000 calorie diet. So they're saying if you have a 2,000 calorie diet, that this is providing 6% of your fat needs for the day, 8% of your carbohydrates. So that is it, like roughly, reading in a nutshell. Now, what I want to point out, and I'll turn the phone back to me. What I want to point out is a lot of times if you are choosing a snack that is kind of like a pre-made snack, like let's say like one of those like snack, the little snack bites, but it has like all the different, like it has the cheese and the meat and whatnot, and maybe some fruit. If you're choosing something like that, you want to really make sure that all of the, like there is a healthy amount of carbs, healthy amount of protein, healthy amount of fat. But if you're mixing and matching, like this one obviously didn't have that much protein. So what I would recommend, and I'll turn it around again, is, having like some sort of protein with it. So you could have like the carbohydrates for the snack, and then, but also making sure to combine it with some sort of protein so you're balancing out your blood sugars. So there's also that to take in hand when you're looking at nutrition labels. So nutrition labels are great. Like I said, when I first started this live, they're great for, comparison to the specific, like if I were to compare this to another cracker, that would be a great comparison to see which one is healthier, but you're not going to compare it to something that's not a cracker. You're not going to compare it to fruit. You're not going to compare it even to cereal. I wouldn't compare it to cereal. I would consider it its own entity. So what you want to do is making sure that you are adding protein to that or adding to the meal. When you just look at the nutrition label, it's not really helpful if you're combining it with different things. So making sure that you're combining it with different things if it's lacking. So I see there's some people that are live on here. I'd love to answer any questions if you have anything currently. I want to point out that I said earlier that wheat thins, they're not necessarily always like the healthiest cracker. They're not bad for you. For me, for my family, I can get like the really whole grain ones that have a lot of the fiber in them. But I noticed that we don't eat them as much, and my family prefers this as well. Honestly, they prefer Ritz. So this is like the middle ground for my family and I. So that's an option that we have in the house as far as having like a healthier cracker option. Is it perfect? No. Is it the best out there? No. But I think it's also really important to find out what works for you and your family and reaching like that middle ground. And that's totally okay. Like there's no need to be perfect on every single decision. It's really finding out what's going to help you live the healthiest and be consistent with that. So hopefully you found that helpful as far as the nutrition label was concerned. So it is really helpful to make sure that you're measuring out your food when you're first starting on a new item to make sure that you're getting the calories and everything right. But eventually you can come off of that. All right, guys. So I hope you're having a good week ahead of you, and I will come on here again soon and do another live. All right, take care.